We've got our first big merger Monday in a while, and it involves China's CNOOC looking to take over Canada's Nexen for about $15 billion. Not your conventional deal, certainly because it's a Chinese company, the biggest takeover overseas ever. And Richard, you've started to have a think about this. What's at play here?
It's a big one. It's certainly CNOOC's biggest play since it tried to buy Unocal a few years back, from a U.S. oil company.
Sort of a famous
example
deal,
of probably badly handled, but very strategically sensitive to the U.S., which kind of got it got withdrawn, but essentially was blocked by Washington. Right. Now, this is Canada. It's a slightly smaller deal, but one thing we see is CNOOC has learned a few lessons. There's a huge premium, which makes it hard to sort of say no on a financial basis, and then there's all these bells and whistles, like CNOOC's going to have a secondary headquarters in Canada. They're going to keep Nexen running its own businesses. They're going to retain the employees. They're going to, as well as being listed in Hong Kong and New York, they're going to list in Toronto. So they're trying to keep everyone happy.
Years of kind of deals being blocked have sort of, they've gotten a little wiser and hoping this is going to get through. Chris, you've looked at this China-Canada kind of relationship. It's been there for quite a while. There's more. What are you seeing there?
Well, in some ways, what they've been doing is, until now, there have been political workarounds. So there's, obviously, when Unocal happened, there was a political storm. So what they've been doing, particularly in North America, and also, well, in North America in general, particularly in the United States, which is the most sensitive area, is by doing it through joint ventures and buying part stakes. So this is the first time in a while, they've taken a really huge chunk. But Nexen, I think you could say, is not exactly Canada's crown jewels. It's been a shambolically run company. The chief executive was booted out in January. They have an interim chief executive. The stock has been plummeting. They've had serious...
So CNOOC, in a way, sort of pounced in a traditional M&A way, kind of hitting on a weak link.
I think that's right. I mean, obviously, Unocal was a major as well, and Nexen is not such. It's also not right. Not the U.S. Canada has probably a better and more open relationship with Asian investment than the U.S. But if it's not a headline sort of company, then it obviously reduces the resistance.
Obviously the calculus is not easy to look at here, because we've just had the Potash Corporation, sort of maybe a crown jewel of sorts for Canada, and the government sort of rejected BHP in a big takeover there. You've also had the Toronto Exchange, which was rejected, or we don't know exactly.
No, I mean, there's clearly scope. And anything, energy, the exchange, it seemed, and potash was a sort of unique resource. I think, Chris might have a thought here, but I think, Nexen is not as unique. There's not something unique about it. There's plenty of companies doing this, so it's not like a one-off special. Right,
but the point is, I guess there's a certain unpredictability that you just don't know with Canadian deals.
We don't know. CNOOC's trying to make it as hard as possible for Ottawa to say no.
Right.
But that doesn't mean they won't find an excuse.
All right, there's a certain unpredictability there, but we'll leave it there, and we'll come back with more breaking views tomorrow.